All right, Cyber Traders, good afternoon and welcome on back here this Friday to close out the week, June 24th. Great to see Kathleen Yehuda, Chuck joining us here. Leda, as always, great to see her loud and clear from all. And with that in mind, folks, great afternoon to everybody. Welcome on back here for the afternoon meeting. Got the RDV trade exploding right now. And I'll tell you what, I'm in this. Right now, I'm in right from 772 is my entry price. I just took half my profit out just to make sure I'm not like a jerk and this thing makes a false break or a nasty drop back down shortly after we kind of finish off this review. But with that in mind, I still have half my position remaining just in case if this does go to the moon. So, why did I take this trade to begin with? Well, actually, I mean, hey, I just like to make conversation during slow times in the market. I asked everyone earlier, hey, what's everyone watching right now? I had no idea. I'm just following TBLT, following SIGA, my NEO. And at the time, the only one chatting to me was Kathleen. She said CLVS and REV. Okay, so let me help out Kathleen. Just see what's going on. CLVS, slower moving stock. REV at the time, it was like what 12:57. Kathleen wrote to me then. So much before this thing took off. Well, it ended up beginning to bottom out around 7:15, 7:20ish maybe. All I wrote to her at the time at 12:58, 12:59, I wrote to Kathleen. I said 765 to 770, very strong resistance. Now, I like to be pretty perfect with my wordage here, right? I'm not going to say it's a little resistance if it's big. So this was huge, I thought. So it moved back up, and I actually took my eyes off this trade for a little while, and I came back to it. It was actually right there. So I'm looking at it, I'm like, wow, what if this does make the pop above 770, 765? It's nice when a plan comes to fruition. I mean, hey, I wish I could say I still have my full position in on this stock, but obviously, I de-risked just before we started at 820 because you never know; it could shake back down. So it's all about the levels first. It's all about identifying the big levels and just being prepared. Just being prepared. That's it. So for right now, we simply know how well this REV trade can move. So with that, we ended up seeing the stock back from Tuesday this week explode, Monday even Monday we were off actually. With that though, Friday the week before, Thursday, and then nonetheless, obviously leading us into today. It made a huge move from Wednesday pop and drop, and then yesterday it continued to dump off, but. Not only is it breaking new highs as we speak, but it's also breaking above the open and the closing print that we had back from Wednesday. So let's take a quick look at that here pretty briefly. It was at 799 and at 814. So, it broke out from that range just here, but I would expect specifically 799 and 814 to be a range of support to work off of now at this point. Should this pull back? Should it pull back? I mean, who knows? This might, begin to kind of consolidate here and then really squeeze up higher at the end of this meeting. So the REV trade, I'm really happy that this is working out. We'll definitely put this on our list to begin. That is not the only stock I'm currently in right now, actually. I almost got stopped out on SIGA just a moment ago. I survived by a penny, I guess. And the TBLT trade, that one's pulling back down a bit. So let me take another part of my position off the table on that one. But the TBLT trade, let's jump to that one actually pretty briefly here. I want to make sure that all of our students have enough time for the class coming up later on this afternoon, the Phase 2 stock course finishing up. So I know that Rich will post the link for that coming up momentarily. But the TBLT trade, hey, this was one from pre-market more than anything this morning. Ended up making a big push early. And, just given how much the stock had dropped off back from the last year and a half, this was like a big focus for us in class earlier today. You hope to see a nice big move. Well, truth be told, this is like the second win type of move that we're catching right now. I called out support earlier, looking for support off of 280 to 286. I ended up taking a 5-cent loss on this trade earlier on the first attempt. And then once I realized it wasn't breaking lower, well, if it's not going to break any lower, maybe there's a shot. So, that's where I jumped in. I jumped back in from 281. And then from there, actually on this trade, this thing stopped me out right off the freaking low. So right there, literally at 277 is where I took my 5-cent hit. And to see it bounce back up immediately after, I was pretty pissed. But jump back in, you give it a second chance, you know what you're watching in terms of a big level. You got to have confidence there. So with that, it ended up providing us a great support level, a nice squeeze up. So Bob W., one of our students inside the live trading room, he was in with me on this trade. Maybe still in. I mean, hey, 280, we have a good entry, right? So if it does hold here and then bounce back up, great. But we were really looking for 305 to 310 in particular. I wrote that in the chat board too. I said I'm looking for 305, 310 resistance to get flipped into support. So as I'm kind of flipping through my other screen here, I saw the SIGA, obviously Rev, and TBLT now, not good, folks. This thing really needed to hold better off of that 305, 310. So I ended up de-risking. I still have part of my position left off of 280, but I got my stop raised now. So if this ends up, holding here, maybe there's a shot, but otherwise we'll pass on it for right now. That Revlon trade pulling back to 814. Be careful. That's the first level that I'd mentioned, 799 to 814. Now, the SIGA trade I'll show just at the end. That one's actually at the high of the day right now. So we'll get to that in a bit. So, perhaps we'll put that on our list as well. But let's go right from top to bottom. Otherwise, let's shop around here, see what else we got. The USAK stock, USA Truck. I'm guessing it's a buyout if I zoom out on the chart here. Yep. Just interesting ticker. I've never seen it before, so I just wanted to take a look. BNTC from earlier today. I didn't get my hands on this, but I know a bunch of our students did. Congratulations to anyone that jumped in on this trade pretty early on. Led to a really nice squeeze at first. Then from there, led to a pretty good bounce off like 110 support. Pulled back down and ended up holding support from there. And then even another higher low later on, right off of 138 to 140. That was also a level that we had called out looking for iceberg support. So you could actually see where it kind of broke under 140. That's where we had big support on the bid. So it broke under it, broke back over it. There we go. So, hey, I mean, it's similar kind of line of thinking as TBLT. It dropped off from a really high price back a year and a half ago. I mean, $4, $5, $6 isn't exactly as much as TBLT, right? I mean, nonetheless, it can still make a pretty sharp squeeze over time. The stock has dropped off. So back from 2018, it was like $60. Maybe reverse splits factored in, but either way, it's been the week of these different like dead cat bounces, different short squeezes throughout the market. A lot of them for like pharmaceutical, biotech stocks. So we know these are not swing trades, folks. These are solely day trades. So, do as you will with that advice. But yeah, I mean, right now, BNTC, same thing as TBLT. I'll pass on it for right now, but if it pops by the end of this meeting, I'll reconsider. Femi, I don't know, same thing. All right, so we'll kind of skim through here, folks. Now, I should have been more prepared for this. All right, I'm going to try and do this here as we go through, folks, because a couple of us actually yesterday ended up asking for me to go through some charting on Bitcoin and Ethereum. So if I have the ability to do that by the end of this meeting, then we certainly will look to do that. But otherwise, though, the MITQ trade from earlier today, this ended up making a pretty nice, pop in pre-market. A little second win type of move earlier today, right? But when the volume dies off, we typically we typically know what's going to happen to these trades at least. So, pass on the MITQ. I saw Chuck call out box D earlier. My TBLT just shook below 3. That's not looking as clean now, folks. Oh, and I'm just going to totally dump off right now. I was scaling out of my position earlier, so I did take part of my position out on TBLT at like 302, 304. But I could have sold at 310 there. Either way, it just shook down. I don't think we're going to put that TBLT trade on our main list. All right, so I got some crypto charts up. We'll show that at the end. Box D, look at this thing. Took a huge pop and then will eventually drop back, in late May, early June over the last like week and a half or so ago. But hey, making a really nice push here once again on the intraday. So I don't mind putting this on the main list for right now. The only issue on this trade is that it might just be too liquid. So you definitely want to see a lot more volume getting filled in a shorter amount of time coming up. But box D here looking pretty good. I like it here. Scott calling out AERC inside our live trading room. And with that, lands us right on AERC here. Ended up making a really big pop earlier today. It's, a new high just before. The stock we know is, prone to make as big of a drop as fast as it could pop. So with that, just be careful with where it is here. It's beginning to make a lower high. It seems it bounced off of like 1375-ish just before, but you could see the rounded top forming here. So I'll put this on our list for right now, but just be careful. Had a really tough time trying to break 15 earlier today. The first test, you would assume for that to be a false breakout, but even afterwards, very staticky, choppy around that 15 level. So, just got to be careful. Right place, wrong time could be very costly. Oh, take a look at this. Royal Caribbean Cruise Line. Huh. We actually followed this at least, or we used this as a quick example in class earlier today. I didn't even realize during class that it was actually up 15% today. We went back on a past day just from the daily chart and kind of rewinded it back from there. So very funny. RCL, making a big move here today, perhaps off of earnings. Nonetheless, the market has just been extremely flat, albeit at the highs, similar to RCL here. We might find a lot of stocks that look like this, maybe not up as much as RCL 15%, but let's see if there's anything looking, just as good, if not better, right? All right, so AHT, in terms of a short squeeze type of stock, I feel like this has some potential, but it's not really trading a whole lot of volume per minute. The stock had a huge run for us back in April, May, June of last year, and then had a huge gap down over time and never really looked back. So, AHT here just needs a nice kick, needs to trade a lot more volume in a shorter amount of time here coming up. It's near the highs, but that's all there is to it there. I'll write it down on the side list, I guess, but let's see if there's anything looking just even more volatile right now. All right, so folks, I don't know if you can hear that little producer's note here, a little consequence of not having my AC on right now. I got my window open. When I got my window open, might happen to hear some gardeners in the background there. So if you happen to hear that, my apologies. NCLH, pretty much the same move as RCL. So, maybe I could slap the cruise lines together on the watch list there. Smith & Wesson at the highs, coming off earnings from yesterday. I know that specifically from Michael. I appreciated him making the shout yesterday on that trade. It's been more of like a grinding type of move. I don't know. I don't have as much of an interest on the pace that it's working with. The same to be said on the cruise lines, though, for the most part, right? I want something that's looking sharp, like that REV, even the SIGA. Let me get to SIGA right now while we're at it, because SIGA is actually breaking a new HOD as we speak. This is the one I almost got stopped out on by like 1 penny. I have a stop limit order to take me out at 67, I think. It bottomed out at 68, but nonetheless ended up just squeezing back up. I'm in from 75 right now. And with that, we want to see this make a test of 13 here. So, this stock was strong heading into the end of the day yesterday. Dropped off this morning. It was actually on the losers list at one point. It's still down like 1.7%. But, this at least looks like a sharper afternoon trend, at least compared to some of the others that we just looked at. So, out of everything, the SIGA I'm putting on the list. All right, let's hop on over to the losers list here, or maybe just kind of finish up skimming up the gainer side, I guess. But I didn't see much else from the gainer side here. CMRX here, this one I'll check out. Pot from earlier, familiar name over the last few days. We ended up seeing the stock gap down back in mid-May, but then back from Tuesday of this week began to make a pretty nice squeeze at the time, and then only got faster today. But obviously, what goes up comes back down, and at this point right now, if a stock is not near the highs or the lows heading into the afternoon respectively, then it doesn't really have my business. All right, just taking a quick look from the Cyber Group room right now. Norman calling out the Cano stock, CANO. Used to be one of my favorite Yankees, Robinson Cano. No longer. Cano Health. Squeezed up just before, but this pullback, not a fan of. So, it's not really trading a whole lot of volume per minute right now. I guess I shouldn't say that. 21,000 shares per minute, but it's like pretty flat for trading 21,000 shares a minute. Then, right? I would have thought without looking at that number that it would be trading a lot less, shares per minute. So, just be careful of a pullback on this, or if anything, it might just kind of stall out as it's been doing. Let's hop on over to the losers list now, folks, see if there's anything on that side. I mean, obviously markets are up, but there could be one or two here that look pretty good as a short. There's our pullback a little bit on that Cano stock. lot of stuff hard to borrow to top off the losers list. Like, damn near everything is hard to borrow here on this losers list right now. Jeez. Array. Hey, it's at the lows. It is easy to borrow. Good order book. It's not trading a whole lot of volume per minute. I mean, this one's trading about 7,500 shares per minute. That number could decline over time because, that's factoring in the spike here. Prior to the big spike break of support off of 1236, it was only trading about like 3,000 or 4,000 shares a minute. So, you definitely want to see a lot more volume on this trade heading into the close, but, I don't mind at least slipping this on here at the end. Could be a good short. Actually, I think it really could be a good short because if anything, it's breaking or approaching, if anything, not breaking, but it's approaching the lows of this week back from Wednesday, 1220. So, a big break below there, that could be a really nice short opportunity. So, we'll see what happens on this trade. SQQQ. That's just about it, folks. All right, if there's anything on YouTube or Facebook Live, let me know. Actually, I think I'm YouTube only today. I ended up setting up this stream very late, so YouTube only right now. Let me know if there's anything else or for all of us live inside the trading room. Scott, Norman, Grant, Kathleen, Leda, Alex, Lewis, Gene. If there's anything else, definitely let me know. The Revlon trade obviously is on our list already. We had talked about the pop. It's holding support pretty damn nicely for now, or it did at least at first off 814. The more kind of needles and threads this support, it should shake down, so just be careful of that. You can see where it already kind of tested 814-ish here. Give or take a couple of pennies. We're not going to be perfect on the level, but, for right now, it's beginning to slip a little bit at this point. So just be mindful of a shakedown towards 798, 799, like we had said before. That was the, I believe the open price back from Wednesday's trading. All right, let me pull up my Bitcoin or Ethereum chart really briefly. And to answer Ethereum first, because, I know a couple of us yesterday on YouTube had asked me, requested me to go over crypto heading into the weekend. Well, I'll tell you what, I feel like we're going to see another big drop over time. So don't hold your breath waiting for the big jump yet on crypto. It started to squeeze up off 18,000, and that is relatively close to where I was saying it was going to bounce back from late January, or where it could. Not will, but could, in terms of anticipating a bear market from that point. Well, got to bounce. Hope you bought then. There still could be a buying opportunity, though, over the next several months. Like, we're in a recession. It's going to take a little while, I think, to get out of this truly. And with more correlation between Bitcoin in particular and the S&P, well, if we happen to see another big shakedown over time across the S&P, guess what's going with it? So that's my general consensus on Bitcoin and crypto altogether. Here is the Ethereum to Bitcoin chart. So this specifically shows Ethereum's strength in relation to Bitcoin. So, since the drop, alts and Ethereum in particular and the rest of the alts have been making a bit of a further climb back up over time. But again, I feel like there's more of a point where we need to see higher lows truly build across any crypto, whether it be Ethereum or, Solana, my Cardano that I'm a big fan of. Matic is an up-and-coming chain as well. There's been a lot of negativity across the entire crypto market as a whole, rightfully so. A lot of big hedge funds getting liquidated. 3 Arrows, Michael Saylor is, his liquidation process started, not fully, but, some huge crypto whales have been getting liquidated, and that's not going to be an instant recovery. So, you heard it from me last year. I love Bitcoin. I love crypto. It's the future. It's the next 10 years. Buy it now. Buy it now more than freaking anything. But it's going to be a little while before we get like the real bounce that I want, that you want. So, I think it's going to be a long, drawn-out process. And with that, I think there's going to be a lot of different buying opportunities. I feel like there's going to be a pullback on Bitcoin back close to 18,000 again over time. So, not only that, actually, Chris brings up a very interesting point, which, has happened lately. One of the major centralized institutions, Celsius, ended up freezing their accounts. There's going to be a lot of that going on going forward, especially if Bitcoin really continues to drop off a lot more. So, you're going to see where a lot of different institutions don't have the liquidity for clients to give back. So when they look to pull out their funds, they're not going to be able to. It's already started on Celsius. I don't know the full story on BlockFi, but there's some real bad heat on them. This is where we would say, if anything, if you're looking to invest in crypto, buy a cold wallet. Buy a cold wallet and transfer your crypto there, and you will be totally safe. It's as simple as that. I can go further into that in a different workshop or crypto class, but you need a cold wallet for crypto, if anything. All right, folks, we got to make sure we have enough time for a class. I'm flapping my gums a little too much here with it about going on about crypto here. So there we go, Rich. I appreciate you posting the link one more time for all of our students like Chris and Grant, Norman and Scott, Kathleen, etc. So make sure that you click the link, folks. We're going to be talking all about all-time highs and lows, not even just all-time highs and lows, but what happens when a stock is reaching not even uncharted territory, but territory it hasn't seen in a long time. So maybe not uncharted territory, but the more and more a stock is moving up or down into historical levels, what happens? So I have some pretty interesting stuff to show you in this class. I look forward to it. For all of us on Facebook Live and YouTube here, just as always, I like to post my email at the end of these streams. I keep saying Facebook, but YouTube only today. Josh at CTUtrading.com. If you're interested in joining our live trading room, just go right down to the link on the yellow banner below to get yourself started. But look what happened already on Revlon, folks. I think we got our trade still in our hands. It broke under and over 799. This has the makings for a nice runner, folks. All right. So I look forward to seeing most of us in class, at least from inside the live trading room. But for those of us not joining me in class, best of luck trading here going into the market close. Talk to you all soon.
Become a Cyber Group member today. Just click the link below and receive all these amazing products and a world of knowledge for just